CAA's Workplace Violence Prevention Training, presented by Sonia Gonzalez, Safety Manager. In today's training, you will learn about California's Workplace Violence Prevention Law, learn how to identify, evaluate, and correct workplace violence hazards, learn the provisions of CAA's Workplace Violence Prevention Plan and how you can get involved in developing and implementing our plan, learn how to report and investigate workplace violence incidents, learn how to seek assistance to prevent or respond to violence, and strategies to avoid physical harm. Important that all employees understand our workplace violence prevention plan. Our plan is designed to protect employees as well as visitors and customers from any threat of violence or workplace violence. Employees must be familiar with CAA's WVPP and their role in preventing and addressing incidents of workplace violence. How to obtain a copy of the WVPP. A copy of the WVPP is available and accessible to employees both electronically and physically at no extra cost. To obtain a copy of the WVPP, contact Sonia Gonzalez by either soniagonzalez@caa.inc or 949-273-0265. WVPP Administrator. Who is the WVPP Administrator? The WVPP Administrator is Sherry Halsey. Sherry Halsey at CAA.inc or 949-273-0269. What does the WVPP Administrator do? The WVPP Administrator is responsible for implementing the WVPP, overseeing the workplace violence hazard assessment and inspections, and responding to the reports of workplace violence. The WVPP Administrator will ensure that implementation of the plan is coordinated with other employers whose employees are reasonably expected to be in the workplace. Who supports the WVPP Administrator in implementing the plan? Sonia Gonzalez, at CAA.inc or 949-273-0265. Workplace violence. What is it and why does it happen? What is workplace violence? Any act of violence or threat of violence that occurs in a place of employment, including threat or use of physical force against an employee that results in or has a high likelihood of resulting in injury, psychological trauma, or stress, regardless of whether the employee sustains an injury. Incident involving a threat or use of firearm or other dangerous weapon, including the use of common objects as weapons, regardless of whether the employee sustains an injury. Workplace violence does not include lawful acts of self-defense or defense of others. True or false? Workplace violence is usually committed by violent employees who just snap without any warning signs. False. It is extremely uncommon for a violent workplace incident to occur without prior warning. Before a violent episode occurs, potentially hazardous individuals frequently leave behind a trail of indications, including threats, declarations, odd conduct, obsessions, threatening physically, and other behaviors. Such cautionary signals must not be disregarded. True or false? Workplace violence only happens in areas where there are high incidents of crime. False. Workplace violence can strike anywhere, and no one is immune. Some workers, however, are at an increased risk. Among them are workers who exchange money with the public, deliver passengers, goods, or services, or work alone or in small groups during late night or early morning hours, in high crime areas, or in community settings and homes where they have extensive contact with the public. This is based off of the OSHA fact sheet. True or false? You don't need to report an incident unless an employee is injured during the incident. False. Any employee who is subject to or threatened with violence by a coworker, customer, client, or vendor, or is aware of another individual who has been subjected to or threatened with violence must immediately report this information to the employee supervisor, manager, or human resources. All threats must be taken seriously. What are the types of workplace violence? Type 1 violence. Workplace violence committed by a person who has no legitimate business at the worksite and includes violent acts by anyone who enters the workplace or approaches workers with the intent to commit a crime. Most frequent types include robbery, criminal trespassing, and theft. Type 2 violence. Workplace violence directed at employees by customers, clients, or visitors. Example, intoxicated customer punches permit technician. Type 3 violence. Workplace violence against an employee by a present or former employee, supervisor, or manager. Example, recently fired employee assaults former supervisor. Type 4 violence. Workplace violence committed in the workplace by a person who does not work there but has or is known to have had a personal relationship with an employee. Example, ex-wife assaults ex-husband at his place of work. Workplace Violence Prevention Plan, WVPP elements. In the next few slides, we'll be going over the following: employee responsibility and involvement, communication procedures, reporting procedures, incident and emergency response procedures, post-incident response and investigation procedures, hazard identification and correction, record keeping and evaluation of the WVPP plan. Employee responsibility and involvement. Know your role. All employees are responsible for using safe work practices, following policies and procedures for maintaining a safe work environment, and promoting safety wherever and whenever possible. Employee responsibilities include: be respectful to all persons, refrain from threatening, harassing, or dangerous behavior, report all threats, violent acts, or workplace hazards to your supervisor or manager, cooperate with efforts to resolve workplace violence concerns, evaluate each situation, document any workplace violence incident, call security or law enforcement if an employee, customer, or visitor is demonstrating violent behavior and safety may be compromised. CAA encourages active involvement of employees in developing and implementing the plan. How to prevent workplace violence. 1. Evaluate each situation. 2. Be alert to potential dangers and trust your instincts. 3. Do not isolate yourself. 4. Always keep an open path for exiting. 5. Recognize pre-attack behavior, widening of the eyes or jerky eye movements, quick breathing, clenched fist or twitching muscles, uncontrolled yelling. Communication is key. To maintain a safe and secure work environment, we must maintain communication on matters of workplace violence with all employees. We want to facilitate a continuous flow of two-way management, supervisor, and employees, safety, health, and security information in a form that is readily understandable and maintained without fear of reprisal. This includes: 1. Open communication system to inform employees of any conditions that increase the risk of workplace violence. 2. Post and distribute safety information. 3. Reporting system for reporting workplace violence incident and concerns. Employee role, reporting workplace violence and the response. When in doubt, report. All employees are required to report any threats or acts of workplace violence and should do so as follows. 1. Notify your supervisor. Report all violence incidents, threats, or other workplace violence concerns to your manager, supervisor, or the WVPP Administrator without fear of reprisal. If you wish to report anonymously, contact Human Resources at 949-273-0290. 2. The manager, supervisor, or manager on duty will contact law enforcement, if appropriate, and coordinate with law enforcement on the reporting and investigation of the violent incident. 3. The supervisor or manager will complete an incident report log. The WVPP Administrator will inform the reporting employee of the investigation results and any resulting corrective actions taken. CAA strictly prohibits retaliation against any employee for making a report of workplace violence. Incident and emergency response procedures. De-escalating a volatile situation. Do's and don'ts. 1. Don't block exits. Leave an escape route for yourself. 2. Don't match the threat. Speak in an even tone of voice and present polite and calm attitude. 3. Don't give orders. Keep communication simple, to the point, and focused. 4. Don't fight back. Avoid physical contact and aggressive behavior. 5. Don't get too close. Maintain a safe distance and physical barriers. 6. If the situation cannot be diffused, remove yourself from the situation. How to get help. If you need help dealing with a workplace emergency, contact Project Manager. They are assigned to respond to workplace violence emergencies. If you have one, contact your project location security personnel. And if anything else, contact law enforcement by calling 911. What happens next? Post-incident response procedures. Post-incident response and investigation. When a violent incident takes place, the WVPP Administrator or designee will promptly conduct a post-incident response and investigation. Post-incident response procedures. 1. Provide immediate medical care or first aid to any injured employees. 2. Take any measures necessary to prevent others from being injured. 3. Identify all employees involved in the incident. 4. Assess whether an additional threat remains. 5. Conduct post-incident debriefing sessions as soon as possible with all employees involved. 6. Check in with the affected team members. 7. Report the incident as required by Human Resources or any agency. 8. Evaluate the incident for gaps or deficiencies in emergency response plans. Post-incident response and investigation. Investigation procedures. 1. Collect factual information. Visit the scene of the incident, take pictures, and preserve evidence. Interview involved workers and any witnesses. Obtain any reports completed by law enforcement. 2. Determine the root cause. Involve workers at the work site to receive a special insight into potential causes and solutions. Examine the area for security risk factors associated with the incident, including any previous reports of misconduct by the perpetrator. Identify any contributing causes. And 3. Identify and institute any corrective actions and preventative measures. Violent incident log. Be a fantastic reporter. Refrain from discussing the details of the incident with others before recording the description of the perpetrator, such as their physical appearance and their actions. Also, be sure to include the time and location of the incident. Supervisors or managers. must record all relevant details in the violent incident log as soon as possible. The template log is attached to the plan. Try to get descriptions from any witnesses to the incident and be sure to get their names and addresses before they leave. Hazard assessment and correction. Hazard assessment. We will conduct periodic inspections of the workplace to identify and evaluate workplace violence hazards and threats of workplace violence. Inspections will be performed 1. After each workplace violence incident. 2. When new or previously unidentified security hazards are recognized. 3. At least quarterly. Identify workplace hazards. Example of workplace hazards are working in isolated locations, poor lighting, leaving employee access doors unlocked, no system to warn others of security dangers, such as alarms, no effective escape routes. Report workplace hazards. If you become aware of a workplace hazard, report the hazard to your supervisor, manager, or the WVPP Administrator. Document the hazard and take photos so that management can correct the unsafe conditions and/or work practices in a timely manner based on the severity of the hazard. Retaliation against any employee for reporting a workplace hazard concern is strictly prohibited. Hazard correction. We will correct unsafe conditions in a timely manner based on the severity of the hazard. Each employee plays a part in helping management correct workplace hazards. Example of corrective measures include request a security escort when working in isolated areas, report burnt out or inadequate lighting, keep employee access doors closed and locked, report unknown strangers and suspicious behaviors, use the buddy system for emergency events, warn others of any security dangers. How to handle different types of workplace violence situations. Active shooter. Here's what you need to know. Surviving an active shooter event. Employees should know how to respond individually to incidents of workplace violence and active intruders. Run, hide, fight. We're going to break this down a little more. Individual response to a shooter. 1. Run if you can. If you can escape without getting close to the shooter, be sure to have an escape route and plan in mind. Run, regardless of what others do. Leave your belongings behind. Help others escape if it doesn't endanger you. Call 911 as soon as you're in a safe location. Hands up. Remember, we're not trying to engage. Individual response to a shooter. Number 2, hide if you can't run. Your hiding place should be out of sight. You want to make sure you're concealed, such as like a dark office. Provide protection from bullets. Find a cover, like a heavy door. And not to trap you or restrict your options for movement or escape. You want to make sure that you're able to move as you need to. To prevent a shooter from finding or entering your hiding place, lock the door. Blockade the door with heavy furniture, lights, radios, phones, anything like that, turned off. Do not shout or make noise, most importantly. Individual response to a shooter. 3, fight if you can't run or hide. Experts say complying and begging usually won't work. You have to fully commit. You are fighting for your life. Highly aggressive, scream, yell, rush forward, throw things, use improvised weapons such as scissors, lamps, move towards exits while distracting the shooter, attack the groin, eyes, knees, throat, anywhere that you can think that is sensitive. Do not ease up or stop until you're fully and safely evacuated or the shooter is down for good. Act of violence by a coworker, customer, vendor, or visitor. Coworker, customer, or other visitor violence. CAA has a zero tolerance policy for violent acts or threats of violence against our employees, customers, or other visitors, including discussions of use of dangerous weapons, even in a joking manner. If you are subjected to or threatened with violence by a coworker or anyone else at work, you are aware of another individual who has been subjected to or threatened with violence, you are to report this information to your supervisor or manager or human resources as soon as possible. All threats should be taken seriously. Guns and other weapons. Guns or any other weapon are strictly prohibited and are not permitted on our premises. If you are found with any of these items in your possession, you will be subject to severe disciplinary action up to and including termination. Responding to customer theft, the wrong thing to do. If you suspect a customer is taking merchandise, under no circumstances are you to stop the customer. You should not try to approach or detain the customer. Violating this policy places both CAA and the employee at risk and will not be tolerated. Employees who stop or detain customers on suspicion of theft will be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Responding to customer theft, the right thing to do. Number 1, if you suspect a customer of theft, immediately notify the manager on duty and the WVPP Administrator. 2, document any identifying information regarding the customer, like their hair color, age, height, weight. 3, provide information about the suspect to management and/or law enforcement. Record keeping and review. Record keeping. We will maintain records as follows. Hazard identification and corrections records will be kept for at least 5 years. Violent incident log records will be kept for at least 5 years. Training records will be kept for at least 1 year. Investigation records will be kept for at least 5 years. Hazard identification and evaluation records, training records, and violent incidents log will be available to employees upon their request. Review of the WVPP. We will periodically review the effectiveness of the WVPP, including the violent incident logs, and revise the plan as needed. The WVPP will be reviewed annually when a deficit is observed or becomes apparent, and after a workplace violence incident. The WVPP will be reviewed by management and any participating employees. We encourage all employees to review and develop the WVPP. Any comments or suggestions for improving the plan may be provided to Human Resources or the WVPP Administrator, Sherry Halsey, at 949-273-0269. Workplace violence recap. Realize that workplace violence is a real and present danger. Stay alert for signs of violence. Take security measures to avoid workplace violence. Take immediate action when faced with threatening or violent behavior. Report all threats or violent behavior. Help victims cope with the aftermath of violence. Remember, if you don't report it, we can't investigate it. If you witness, experience, or learn of any non-emergency violent incidents, report the incident to your manager or supervisor or by calling the WVPP Administrator, Sherry Halsey, at 949-273-0269. If you think a matter is an emergency, dial 911. Questions? Concerns? For any questions, concerns, or suggestions regarding this training or WVPP, please contact either the WVPP Administrator, Sherry Halsey, Director of Employee Relations, work number 949-273-0269. Cell phone is 949-793-3673. Or email address is sherryhalsey@caa.inc. You can also contact the Safety Manager, Sonia Gonzalez, Administrative Assistant, on her work phone 949-273-0265, cell phone 949-282-3439, or email address at soniagonzalez@caa.inc. If you would like to contact anonymously, our hotline contact information is 949-273-0290. That concludes my presentation. I hope that you learned a lot of valuable items that you will take with you. Please be safe and contact me if you have any questions. Thank you again. My name is Sonia Gonzalez, and you can reach me at 949-273-0265 or by email soniagonzalez@caa.inc.